It seems like we are back live again. Welcome back to the Unlock Jam Room. Bikram, I'm here. I'm waiting for Maestro BICKRAM GHOSH to join me back for this incredible discussion. And right after this, I'll start taking questions from all of you. And please send us questions. The Maestro is here. And waiting for him to join. This is so exciting. This is so exciting.
Here we
Yay,
go.
you're back. So yes, the Roland, the endorsement and the bass sound you were talking about. So
So you have to first to create the brand. The first thing that's important is that you have to first create a sound. What is your signature? Every brand has a signature. So if you look at Zakir Ji's work, uh, uh, there is so much in that brand, in the sound of that brand, which so if somebody coming after him has to really think uh, of something very different.
yeah, yeah,
Otherwise, you will get sucked into that brand because it's such a huge brand. And
yes,
I've had these conversations with him over the years. I've kept telling him, I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I'm working on
that
my
is
thing.
that. This is really strange. Every question that I have for you, I have a list of questions, and you are leading me into the next question. Like when you're answering one
Yeah.
question, the ending of that is basically what I was going to ask you next.
So I will be forever grateful to him because he sat me down in 1999 in Los Angeles for 4 hours, and he did inspire me to do a lot of things in that conversation. He said to me that you're very talented, you have so much talent, you must think out of the box, you must think of other things, you must think of what other vistas are there for you to. So I will be forever grateful to him for having that candid conversation with me, and which did inspire me to do a lot. And then in typical style, he said after maybe somewhere in the 2003 2004, when I had already started doing all of that and it was known, and then he said, "Are you took me too seriously, huh?" So that, I mean, it's him. He's just incredibly lovable, and I mean, encouraging. But yeah, so that sound is the signature. And then in your
We have a lot
badge,
of new people joining in. Vishal Ved, Anubrata Bhai is here.
Arre
All
wah,
these
wah. Hello, hello.
lots of lovely people. Yeah.
So that to get to that sound was a very, very meticulous journey, because you have to first understand what is the barge you play, your own style, not the syllables you play, not the compositions you play. What is your instinctive sound? And
Right.
that instinctive sound is the centerpiece of what you're putting around it. So then the
Sure.
handsonic comes in. Why is the handsonic important for me? Because I had the mridangam baj in me. So the handsonic plus the low sa tabla gives me a sub mridangam sound.
Right. A sub with a minimum sound.
Yeah.
So you,
So
you have
that,
to balance the spectrum. The frequency spectrum has to be balanced.
yes, absolutely. So then is I all of that was the really hard part, the really tough
Right.
part. Getting I spent 2 solid years doing it. I took a loan from the bank because I had stopped. I took a hiatus from playing classical tabla because I
Yes, you
realized that
did.
if I don't take a hiatus, I will never get this sound right because there's no time. I was playing with Guruji Raviji 100 concerts a year. I was playing with others also, and I was busy every day. Like I was doing like some 150, 200 concerts a year. And where is the
Wow.
time? Where is the time, to do
You have to
something like
make
this?
time.
So I figured it's now or never. I was 30 years old. It's now or never. So I took a hiatus, and I realized that I wouldn't have enough money to sustain me for 2, 3 years now if I were to do this. So I took a bank loan, and it was a housing loan because they don't
This
give
is like
you a loan to
1998, 98, 99. That time.
around 99 2000. And
Right.
I was still playing with Guruji off and on, and then it was tapering out, and I was not playing classical music for a long time. And that period, the early part of that period, I took a housing loan because who's going to give you a loan? There's no loan to create a sound.
There's no sound loan. Yeah, yeah.
So sound
There's
loan.
gold loan. Absolutely, there's no sound loan.
So I took that housing loan, and it sustained me for that period. And everybody around me thought I had lost it. Everybody thought I had lost
I'm
it.
sure.
People were saying, "You're playing with Pandit Ravi Shankar, with the greatest, and so many other artists. You've got this great career going, and you stopped playing. Are you mad or what?" Even my father, who was getting worried, not so much by me or because of me, but from what others were calling and telling him. So people were calling him random people. I mean, great artists, top end world level artists calling him and saying, "Has he lost it? Has your
Yeah.
son lost it?" You
See?
know.
Power.
So, gache, matata gache, hai. So whatever it was. So
Just
then
another
when
interjection, Bikram, that once again, this is really uncanny. I did the exact same thing when I developed my electronic music and tabla project.
yeah,
I
yeah.
took a loan. I took a loan.
And you know what's kind of ironic, and you can't avoid it because it's a given. When you do that, even after playing that level of tabla with everybody in the world, you know, I had played with everybody. I
Everybody.
was on the A list of everybody wanted to play with me. There was a point of time I was
You were
exhausted.
replacing the greats.
I remember 1 month of February, I had played in 28 days. I had played 28 concerts, and it was sometime in 96, 97, you know, and I was exhausted, and I was that was that kind of career to have that, you know, and everybody wanting you to take that step, and then when you've
Tremendous,
taken the
tremendous
step,
courage. Yeah.
when you've taken that step, and then unexpectedly, that was a learning curve for me. Suddenly I realized people were saying, "Oh, to ekhon gal bajaye. He plays his cheeks now."
Yeah, people will say ridiculous
Arey,
stuff.
just like 2 years before that, you've heard me play a 9-beat solo for 1.5 hours. You heard me play an 11-beat solo for 1.5 hours. What happened to all that? You think I've lost my skill set in 2 years? No.
That's what people do. Because the people say like
Yeah,
they're
they
me,
box
they're
you,
like,
you know.
to music director, from ছবি to music করে. He's a film
So
composer, he's a DJ now, whatever they say. I mean, like, okay. But,
what is interesting is with that journey, you never gain anything without sacrificing something or the other. So I had to face that, you know, in that journey. But what I got in return after a few years with the rhythmscape really kind of, you know, becoming so popular with so many shows happening, and me going completely like doing all kinds of things that were all in my head. I was able to do it on stage with rhythmscape because I
right.
knew that this is my show. I can do this now. You know,
Yeah,
I'm
you're the
not
artist.
hampering. I'm not hampering somebody else's sound. I'm not, you know, doing this at the expense of somebody else. So that is not something I believe in. So as a sangatkar, I will do what is necessary for that particular concert. You know, but
Sure.
in rhythmscape, I will do what I want to do, and in that
Yeah.
space, huh, so in that space, I thought I was able to bring all the gamut of sound and content that I had onto the stage, and my
On the
compositional
platform.
skills, which is something which was lying underneath. You know, I have melodies in my head, and I mean, rhythmscape is not just popular because of the rhythm on it. It's
No, of
popular
course.
because of da 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 da. Everybody knows.
Yeah.
So
It's a
all these
tune. A
melodies,
tune. Those
the
are hit
tunes became
tunes.
popular. Huh? So I think
Right.
that was what made the brand, and the
Sure.
brand then allowed me to be free, even financially, to take other risks which I thought were needed for me to do. You know, I needed to do those things. And then if it was doing an experimental album, which I knew maybe wouldn't people wouldn't listen to it as much as a rhythmscape, but I
You
wanted
didn't
to
have to
do
think
it.
as much.
I didn't have to think so much. I had the money to do it. I was able to, you
Yeah.
know, fund it myself and stuff like that, you know. So
Right.
that is a journey which is important. If you have all these ideas in your head, you have to find a way to make it happen. It has to
Right.
jump out of your head into reality. And for
It
that,
has to manifest.
you do,
Right. Right.
it has to manifest it. That's the word. You have to manifest it. And for that, you need to have a brand. If you don't have it, it's too difficult. You have to go around begging all the time to do it.
Yeah, and that's just I don't know.
That's demeaning, really. It's difficult to do.
Vikram, there are some questions.
Yeah, Jaya just came and told me there are some interesting questions, so take a look.
Yeah, I cannot see who asked this question, but I thought it was really interesting. The Insta handle, nobody has their actual name in it, so this is Music KR1. Can Vikramda explain how he approaches upaj during accompaniment and has the knowledge of mridangam helped with upaj development aspects?
Wah, 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 wah. Very nice question. Do let us know what your name is, because that's a superb question. Yes. Okay. So
It's Music Kumar 1 or Music KR1, I don't know.
So
please mention your name in the comments, please.
Upaj, I come from the school which believes in informed upaj.
Kya baat.
I don't think upaj works without system. This is something my father taught me, and all my father's students know that this is how it's done. And
by the way, Vikramda, his name is Krishna Ramdas.
Areva, Krishna Bhai, nice question. So the upaj has to have a structure. There is a mathematics in tabla which is incredibly important. You must know the math, and it's microbeat, and it is another world. It is like diving into the ocean and going, right down below and seeing all this fish which you never knew existed. All these amphibians you never knew existed. That is another world. So you have to know that world. If you know that world, then your upaj is another level. Then your upaj is what are you doing? Then you are doing gymnastics in the air with a life jacket. So you have a life jacket. You will come back to the sun, and you can just let go. You can just float in the sky at 20,000 feet, and you know how to come back. So without that knowledge, your upaj is pointless. If you're going to do all this wonderful stuff,
without a parachute.
You're skydiving without a parachute. You've done all of it, and then you don't know how to land. So then you land somewhere away from the sun, and nobody says "wow, wow," because it's not wow, wow. You have to come to the sun.
There's awkward silence in the hall.
Yeah. So that is upaj needs to. Now, of course, coming back to Kumar's question, I use my mathematics during upaj, and with my math, the Vani selection, the syllable selection can veer from Farrukhabad to Banaras to Punjab to anything that I feel is appropriate in that moment to accompany that particular musician. I will dive into my well of knowledge from these different gharanas to find something suitable to play there. And in that, yes, my Carnatic knowledge helps because I know the math. And because I know the math so well, I can, if the upaj requires me to come and fall on the mukhra of the gat, wherever that mukhra is, even if it is on a quarter beat, I will come and fall on the quarter beat. And it will be right. It will happen most of the time, because I know the math.
This mathematic thing that it is just, I'm sorry, this is a desperate interruption. Like this, you've taught me things like the matra to matra.
Yeah, the chart.
The chart, the hand, And,
my father's invention.
And I've really benefited from that. I've given that to many people. And but like you had told me once, and this is way back in '96 when we were discussing Laikari, you said that it should not make a difference from which point to which point your tihai has to be. It should make no difference. Whether it's in 9 beats and you need to start on a 3 and end on a 7.5, or you start Tintal Sum and end on Tintal Sum. It shouldn't make a difference.
I mean, you have seen, I think you have seen where I have done shows and workshops where I asked the audience to raise their hand. And wherever in the cycle they raise their hand, I will start my tihai from there. And I will come and fall on the sum. And if I want to, I will create a muqam, which is another point in the cycle, like a gatka mukhra, where I will come and fall. So wherever you raise your hand from, I will do that from there and come and fall there. That
This
is
is any
the
tal, any tempo.
any tal, even a half matra tal, even a quarter matra tal. I can do that because I learnt it. And I learnt it from my father, and then I learned from Shekharji. And
Right.
with the combined knowledge of these two traditions, I think I started doing it very easily. Even Guruji Pandit Ravi Shankar ji asked me ki how because he was a curious man. He
Yeah, of
saw
course.
Tal incredibly. I mean, who saw Tal like him really? I mean, he was
Right, right.
so far ahead of his time. He was curious. He was like, you know Carnatic, and you also how do you see the Tal? Yeah. So we used to have these cool discussions, and then he used to talk about how my father and he had discussed how they see the Tal. And that upaj will only come from that depth of knowledge of the Tal. Unless you know that, you cannot do that free flying thing. How is that possible?
Absolutely. So this is incredible stuff. This is really incredible stuff. I have two more
I,
questions.
I, I, I remember, I just remembered, you were there in that concert. Remember 2002 Doverlane Music Conference, me and Ustad
Pancham
Amjad Ali Khan
Sawari.
Sahab,
Pancham
Pancham
Sawari.
Sawari.
Of
So,
course.
Khan Sahab,
Great gutta, people whistling at Doverlane. Yeah.
Ustad ji practiced Chhaptal in the green room. And when he's going up the steps to the stage, he says, "Beta, 5-7 minute, thoda Pancham Sawari baja lete hain." So I said, "ठीक है, Ustad ji." So he just asked me, "What is the theka I play?" I said, "Okay." So he said, "No, I like the traditional theka," which I also knew. Huh? So I played the traditional. 55 minutes, that became the main tal,
I
Pancham Sawari.
That was the main performance. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
those
that is possible
two
because of that.
main solos you played in that. Oh my God! Like
Thank
I'm telling
you.
you that it still like rings in my ear because that was the last item of the day. I remember everything. You were wearing a grey kurta and you had ended it with your signature. And people, it was like a rock concert. Like how many times did you actually play with him again after that?
No, that was the last time I played with him, but I had played with him before that several times.
No, I know before that, but I'm saying for other
Yeah.
reasons.
That was the last concert. No,
Yeah, yeah,
not thereafter.
yeah.
Yeah.
Acha, Rohin is here. Rohin Bose, Tony does.
Yeah. Hi, Rohan.
He has a question. How do you see the
Yeah.
sound of tabla, the basic timbre, in another 25 years with the access of different technical amplifications and processing, considering the use of sampling for various purposes? Very nice question. Very interesting question.
Yeah. Interesting question. Well, sampling has, I mean, you have run your tabla through a processor. You've done that, right? I've
Oh,
heard you do it several
many times.
times. I
Yeah.
I have done it on occasion. I remember early 2000s. I used to use a Boss loop station also, and all of that. There was that and a little bit of ventures here and there. Not as much as you've done with electronica, but a little bit of venturing here and there. But I've realized that that is a trajectory that tabla will take.
That's a different direction. Yeah, that's a different
Yeah, like Talvin has done that. Karsh Kale to some extent have
direction.
done it. So these guys have done that, and that has become part of repertoire also.
Sure.
For me, I think the traditional sound of the tabla, the naad of the tabla, will sustain. And there's a shank playing right now as I started saying this.
Oh my
Huh.
God.
So, you may think it's silly, but we believe in these things. So,
Yeah.
it is a fact that it will sustain the sound of the tabla, because if it was so easy to replace this sound and go with something else, then it would have happened by now. Everybody
Absolutely.
would be doing just that. But this
Absolutely.
instrument is so great and it has such incredible repertoire that there is no question that it will sustain beyond all the experiments. It will have its
Vikram,
own
if I may
trajectory.
add to what you're saying, if I may
Please.
add, just from Rohin to answer Rohin's question. See, the thing is that one of the things about the tabla is that as a rhythm instrument, we primarily categorize tabla as a rhythm or a percussive instrument or a drum.
Correct. Correct.
I have dabbled in all kinds of different drums, all of that. The one thing that I know for a fact about the tabla, this is not something that I feel, it's a fact. I don't think there is as much tonal diversity in any one single set of drums anywhere in the world. Okay, to give you technical information, the tabla ranges in frequency. For the baya, it starts from 14 hertz, which is 6 hertz below the human audible range, and it goes right up till 16 or 17K.
Right.
This is a set of two drums that you play with your hand, and the tabla is also a melodic instrument. The amount of resonance that the tabla has, it has two notes. It actually has two separate notes. It has the note that you tune it to, and it has the second or the ninth,
Yes.
the natural ninth after
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Tone.
Yes.
And
I.
in between, there are so many harmonics. So I'm talking about
Yeah.
rhythmic
Yeah.
information. I'm talking about
I
melodic
love you for
information.
saying this,
About
Mayookh. I really love you for saying this because you know what uh, there have been times I've said something like this, and people have jumped up at me for saying, why do you think it's this such a great instrument? There are other instruments and all of this,
Of
but
course, there are.
see, of course there are other instruments, but when I'm talking about my instrument, I never say anything. I never use an ultimate statement for anything I say. I never say it is the greatest. I always use a
No, 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 no.
probably, or I use one of the, but I definitely feel that it is one of the greatest drums in the world, and it needs to be recognized for that, because just the frequencies, the content, the the possibilities with the instrument, a modulatory drum, a tunable drum. I mean, what have you really? It's such an incredible instrument. So I think that it is something which is very, very close to my heart, and which is why I fight so much for the tabla. That I think such a great instrument needs to also have a greater trajectory as a solo instrument. I am not saying, don't get me wrong, nobody get me wrong. It should be, if a tabla player today wants to be a professional tabla player and only wants to play solo tabla, he should be able to make a career. He or she should be able to make a career out of just playing solo tabla.
Absolutely.
That should be the acceptance level of the instrument. The problem here is that people like the tabla a lot. Everybody loves the tabla, but they don't know enough of the tabla. They don't know the tabla. They don't know they know at least something of the rag, a little bit of, oh, that is Shivaranjani, that is so and so, but they don't know. And
Yeah.
tabla players
Vikram,
don't
yeah,
get a
if I may add to
chance.
this statement, I have seen critics, people who write reviews on,
Yeah,
and this is for years and years. Every time they write a review, it's about the rag and what the singer did and what the
yeah,
sitarist played and the mir and the ni and the dha and the pa and the ma. All of that being said, the Bengali phrase is tabla shangot যথাযথ. That is,
yeah. So I
that's
have
it.
said that I've been crying off the rooftops for several years with that, and
Yeah.
again there is the question of the brand which comes in there. You have to, the more tabla players become brands, the more they become brands, the more they will be noticed, the more
Sure.
they will have fighting power,
Sure.
the more they will be able to come onto stage and give a performance where people say, oh, that was a tabla solo performance, and I we all went, all our friends went, there were 2000 people, and we loved it, we understood at least a part of it. That
Right.
needs to happen. It's high time it happens.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
that
We're
I am
following your
not.
path, Vikramda. We're all following your path, and we're trying to, and this is, you have set, I mean, after Zakirji, you are a person who has set a path for us to actually concentrate and focus on establishing the necessary means for us to be able to communicate to people at that level, because
Absolutely.
I'm trying, see, I couldn't uh, the way Zakirji has done fusion, and then after that the way you've done rhythmscape. When I started off thinking how do I get a sound, although a lot of it has to do with the fact that I grew up with various different kinds of music, I
Of
went
course.
into a very different direction. I started making bass music with drum and bass and hardcore electronic pumping techno and things like that. So I'm just saying that if we have heard from you.
All criticism put aside, all whatever anybody says, in my absolutely honest opinion, and I'm saying this on a public forum, I think you are incredibly talented, Mayookh, as a tabla player, as a tabla player. First, sheer tabla playing, the dexterity of your hands, the way you see the music, all of that. And as somebody who can fly with this instrument to new vistas, you're going on different journeys. You have that capability to do that, and it will always be difficult for you to crack it with the traditionalists, because everybody wants to box you, you, me, or anybody, whoever's doing something else. So for me, I want to bring an interesting mix here, because I needed to say that for you, because that's
You
what I
have
feel.
no idea how much that means to me. I mean,
No, it's true.
probably
It's a
won't be able to
fact,
sing.
and no, I don't listen to a lot of people playing tabla on Facebook or anywhere. I don't listen to. Whenever you do something, I listen to it. I see, okay, what has Mayookh done now? So I listen to, because it
That
interests me,
scares
and
me.
there is a skill to it. There is a skill set to it, which is admirable. Anyway, so now what I think is important for what I do now. See, I took a hiatus from classical music, as I said.
Yes.
Then I have come back now with a vengeance.
Right.
I have played. I'm telling you, I played more classical concerts in the last 2 years than I played fusion concerts. And the interesting thing is, of course, I got paid more for the fusion concerts. That's another story. But so, but
Right.
what is interesting is, now when I'm back playing classical music as a brand, I have lot more opportunities.
Sure.
I don't have to face certain things which I had to face before. And the ride is so much more enjoyable. And I personally think that as a classical tabla player, I'm better than I ever was, because now I have the experience, and I also understand frequency better, as a
Absolutely.
classical tabla player.
Absolutely. Nail on the head.
Which,
Absolutely. Kya baat hai? Kya baat hai? Because you've dealt with the entire spectrum, having had to balance drum set with tabla, which is an impossibility. Like if you have a drum set 5 feet away from you, he's actually louder in your mic than you are.
absolutely, it's a very difficult scenario.
Right. So doing that, I have.
I think we should take some questions, because Jaya
Yeah.
also just telling me some more interesting questions are popping up.
Right, but I don't. Maybe my questions are stuck here. Oh, Shubhadra Kalyan says, can you please suggest us young tabla players about the way we should make a difference while accompanying senior musicians and contemporary ones? That's an interesting question.
If we are talking about the classical format, there isn't much of a difference in the classical format. The only thing you have to remember while accompanying a very senior artist is that here you have to understand who that person is. That person has had a long journey. And I also feel that when we're talking about persons, it is important for a tabla player to predict in his own head or her own head who the person is that you're accompanying. You must know something of that person to understand the instinct. You have to get that person. And when it is somebody senior, there has to be a certain kind of a body language. If somebody is playing with me also and is junior to me, then if the person is too aggressive in the playing and the body language, then I would be a little uncomfortable, and so would the senior artist, because you have to give that person that respect that, you've been around for so long, you've done some incredible work, and that kind of humility is very, very important. I think,
it's part of the culture.
the respect, the humility that is required is something which should not be something which you are just coming on board with, and because it's something which helps your business. No, I think you should understand what it means, because if you really understand a musician's trajectory, then you will respect a great artist. I mean, any of the artists. I mean, I'm all the artists I play with, even some of the young artists who are. The respect is important because you must criticize also. You must also have the courage to say no. यहाँ थोड़ा अच्छा हो सकता है, ये better हो सकता है. But if it's good, तो वो भी बोलना है. And with a senior artist, also that humility comes. It becomes, because I was playing with Pandit Ravi Shankar ji and simultaneously playing with a much younger, like his students. I was also playing with simultaneously.
You were playing with Karthik, and you were playing with Gaurav.
Yeah, Shubhendra, everybody, Parthuda, and all. So what do you do with that? You have to understand the difference, the nuanced differences in the playing, in the personality you project with that person, with this person.
It's also if you the relationship, no, Bikram, like your
yeah. It's very subtle, Mayookh. It is so subtle. It's
with someone.
Huh?
Like, how do you converse with somebody? Like, when you're talking to somebody like Pandit Ravi Shankar ji, the way you speak, the tonality of your voice, the vocabulary you use, the humility in your, the tone. Like, you wouldn't speak to him with the body language where you look away and you're saying something, would you? But I'm saying that you could probably do that with somebody much younger.
Of course, and that is only fair. That is only fair and right that you come on board with that humility with a person like that, and only then will you get the gems from that person.
Sure.
If you come on board with Uddhatto, with I don't know what the English of Uddhatto is.
Balance of vanity and arrogance.
Yeah, it's kind of then the person will not be as giving to you. They will not share those incredible nuggets that I received from him, life-changing nuggets, So that is important also.
Which stand to benefit.
Yes, totally.
Okay, so Bikram, two very small things. Two tabla players from your older generation.
Yeah.
Accepting your father and accepting Ustad Zakir Hussain, because I think those two are, a given. Two tabla players from your generation and two tabla players from the next generation.
I have to mention Kumarda, Swapanda, Anindada, and also I have to mention Sanjayda, who I admire hugely as well. I mean, faced with a question like this, one will tend to forget names, but I have to touch my heart and say I have been influenced by all of them. If I didn't say that, then I would be lying, because I have spent hours and hours listening to cassettes and CDs of these people, all these people. I mean, Sanjayda, I used to listen to his accompaniment on television year after year, and how he accompanies vocals. How can I say I'm not influenced? I am influenced by all of them. And I've tried to copy Kumarda, I've tried to copy Anindada, Swapanda, the tonality, and then realize, no, this is theirs. This is not mine. I can't do this. I have to do something else, So I think they all went through that journey. Everybody goes through that journey, So Baba used to say that he was so influenced by Shanta Prasad ji. He was like, I used to always think, if I could do that, and then he found his own way, which was different from Shanta Prasad ji, In the younger generation, of course, so many,
Your generation.
Or my generation.
Yeah.
My generation, there's a lot. There's so many there, I have to mention Shubhankar, I have to mention Yogesh Bhai, I have to mention Tanmoy, Abhijit, all of them, because they're all my contemporaries, and we have all practiced together, hour after hour. We have sat together and practiced. And yes, if you are asking me about a qualitative analysis, I'm not going to do that, because that is something. Yeah.
I'm saying, like,
but I have
left out Pinky G's name.
Oh yeah, of course. Pinky Bhai, I sat and I literally learned his Uthan by heart to play with Amjad Ali Khan Sahab and Vishwa Mohan Bhattji,
You used to call it Pagini Bigini, remember that?
And he told me also, so we are very good friends, Pinky Bhai and me, and we have not met for a long time, but we've been great friends. So he told me, he told me, आप तो बड़े बदमाश हो यार, आपने मेरा ही उठान उठा लिया.
I had the great fortune of hanging out with both of you in New York at Kunal Sen's house.
Yes. Remember that? That was so much fun. My God.
amazing. That was
Ashish
amazing.
Kaka was also there. Ashish Kaka was also there.
Ashish Kaku wasn't there. Ramesh Kaku was there.
Oh yeah, that's the yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
mixing it
yeah.
up with other. Yeah, but
Right,
so
right.
yeah, all of them, even Aurubda,
All
such
of course.
wonderful artists, and so all of them, the
Akram Bhai, Akram Khan.
Akram Bhai, of course, that's what I'm saying. I mean, sub
It
yarana
goes
hai,
on.
all of us. We played together, so many concerts, all of us, and we feed off each other. Everybody, we talk about tabla. We say, "Arey, आपने ऐसा किया? अरे विक्रम भाई, आपने ऐसा नहीं किया, वो नहीं किया, ये किया." So you're learning from everybody, and it's this little ball, which you're all sitting in, and it's so much fun.
Right, right, absolutely.
Wonderful.
And what about the next generation, the ones younger to you? Like,
Every tabla player has a great pair of hands. I mean, everyone,
that
right
is true.
from
Very true.
whether it is, I'm going across generations here, whether it's you, whether it is Anubroto, whether it is Ojas, whether it's Satyajit, all of them. I mean, I'll miss out names. Please forgive me, because I mean, right now we're in a conversation where I should write the names down and mention each and every one of them, because
Yeah.
it's important to do that. But don't hold it against me if I miss out any names, because in my heart, Gurdain is playing so well. And Gurdain तो अपना है, अपना घर का
He's
लड़का है.
made the highest number of comments in this whole thing, like every 4
Yeah,
seconds.
so he's somebody. I mean, he was a baby, literally, when Harpriyat Bhai brought him, and I still remember that day in London. So that's it. Everybody's playing so well, and my only concern is that the community of tabla, the instrument of tabla, that everybody should have an eye on their own personal profession. That is a given. You have to do that, and an eye on increasing the
Community at
ambit
large.
of the instrument, the community at large. That is very, very important. It will help everybody. It will help you,
Absolutely.
me, the older ones, the younger ones, everybody. If we operate like that, and if we just respect, demand respect, accept respect with grace, and move forward with the instrument, and not
Because I think
alone.
as tabla players, we need to collaborate more. I think the older generation did that more than we are doing.
Yes,
I try to, like whenever I get an opportunity, like Gurden and I got together with a bunch of our kids and did this little video, and
I
people
saw
loved
that.
it.
Yes, yeah.
Tribal, yeah. So
No,
I think do more of that.
that is true, and at the same time, I think just within the trajectory of the profession, to do what's right and do what's
Right.
fair, and keep keep an eye on that. That let me not take something lying down which is unfair,
Right.
and let me also not do something which is unfair. Let's not demand something that is unfair also. Keep a balance in the whole thing. Let's just create an ecosystem where everybody exists comfortably,
Symbiotic relationship.
symbiotic. Everybody's helping everybody else, and not just putting people down and say, yeah, kya bajaya chi, wo to khatam ho gaya, wo to usne wo kiya ho gaya. We have to. That is why it still remains a small little village, classical music.
Right.
That not the music itself, the world of
No.
classical music. It needs to grow exponentially. It needs to become very big and wide. It has the potential. Hey, look at what the Pandit Ravi Shankar ji did in the 50s and 60s.
That's right.
What kind of, I mean,
Collaborations.
people went crazy.
Kremlin. And
Why not? Must do it. Everybody should do their bit. Anyway, I've had my
one last thing before we go into a rapid fire round and end the discussion. This is already our second Insta live, and we're also at the end of that. So, as what kind of artist advice or prediction or foresight would you share with us in terms of what is about to happen for our profession, our industry, post this COVID-19 situation, at least for the foreseeable future? What do you think is coming our way?
The eternal optimist that I am, and I really see this, I think it's going to, the curve is down, not the pandemic curve, I'm saying the curve of the musician. The musician is down. People are, feeling low, they're feeling they don't have enough work, not enough money coming their way, all of that is happening, yes. But when it lifts again, and it will, It must, and it will inevitably. That's the way of the world, way of the cosmos. So when that happens, it will be doubly good because
So,
you will be doing live concerts and you will be doing online concerts simultaneously, and you'd
oh,
get paid for
wow.
both. You will get, I guarantee you will get paid for both. I guarantee. I'll write it down because there's this whole conversation happening now. We must stop
Well,
doing free
this
concerts.
video is on record. You don't have to write it
Yeah,
down. This will be there in history.
yeah, yeah.
This video.
So, yeah. So it is going to happen because people will see the potential. They're already seeing the potential that sitting in, if you want to do a collaboration, you're sitting here in Calcutta, you want to collaborate with somebody in America, bring somebody else on board from another city, Spain, in Spain, you can do it online without spending airfares, without spending hotel.
Right.
You, it will be logical to do it. So you do the
Yeah, I mean, if
collaboration as
this
an online
lockdown,
concert.
like if this whole lockdown situation has taught us anything, it is how unnecessary it is to actually go out of your house. Like how much more we actually do meetings, which we can just sit at home and do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We can save the
And I,
world from a lot of pollution if we actually follow this routine as
I
much as
think
we
what
can.
what has to really work better is production values for online
Sure,
concerts. That whole
sure.
home thing has to kind of give way for a better production value. So once that happens, once you have good sound, once you
And
have
obviously, we will look into that and we will try to,
it will
create
happen. It
that
is inevitable.
infrastructure.
Already platforms are coming up which are giving stereo sound, which are giving, which you can use equalizers. Those are people have, a couple of companies have given me demos, and
Yeah,
they're
yeah. Inbuilt
very
app is there,
impressive,
of
very
course.
impressive. So that is going to be the way forward, and people will get more work than before. I can see that
Fantastic.
happening.
That is so inspiring. That is so inspiring. For all the young artists, a lot of young artists, people like Rajdeep, and a lot of young people are commenting, saying that.
Somebody says, Bikramji, can you please advise or guide us on how to develop Laikari? You know what? I would love to. It's such a passion for me, Laikari, but how does one do it on an Insta session? I mean, it really requires weeks of brainstorming and me kind of telling you how that works. And of course, I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to do it anytime. I keep doing it. It's like one of the.
So why don't you announce a workshop soon? I mean, everybody who's on this live today, please go and follow Bikramda's handle if you haven't already followed it. Whoever's on my page, if you're on my page, you should be on his page because I'm the copy, I'm the duplicate. He's the real deal. So follow him. And no, I'm not joking, Vikramda. You know that that's how I feel, honestly, right? So please do that. And Vikramda, it's on you to announce a workshop as soon as this
I
lockdown.
will. I will actually do that, and I am beginning to work on that with a platform. So that is something that
Wonderful.
will happen. There, I can do it. I'll have the time and I'll have the kind of apparatus to teach that.
Fantastic. Okay, small rapid fire round before we end.
Yeah.
And you have to answer as quickly as possible. Okay, and as honestly as
Shall try.
possible. Okay. Classical tabla or rhythmscape? Classical tabla including solo.
Classical tabla.
Okay, that's a big one. Pandit Shankar Ghosh, father or guru?
Guru.
That's really fast and really prompt. I'm really impressed. Okay. Kurta or denims and shirt? Kurta pajama or denims and shirt?
Denims and shirt.
Denims and shirt. Okay. I knew that was coming. Indian food or non-Indian food?
Non-Indian food.
Which kind?
Right now, it's Japanese.
It's Japanese. Okay. Wow. It used to be Chinese. I remember a period.
Yeah, I have phases. I have a lurking suspicion I'm going to head towards biryani soon.
It's going to keep coming back. It always comes
back. Cycles.
Okay. 3 island albums. Like if you were stuck on an island, which 3 albums would you take with you? And if those were the only 3 albums you could take for the rest of your life, which would they be? And 3 island books.
Baba's Music of the Drums. 2 is R.D. Burman's Dil Padosi Hai.
Okay.
And 3 would be Pandit Ravi Shankar's Chants of India,
Chants of India. Okay. Okay.
because it helps me
Wow.
meditate.
Okay. So if this list wouldn't include anything that you've done, you would never feel like hearing your own music?
No, well, that's because when I sit to hear my music, like a lot of people, I'm sure it happens to you also, my brain immediately goes to looking for the defects,
Criticism. Yeah. Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
and then I start obsessing.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, Woody Allen never actually finishes watching his film, the final cut and the final print. He never sees it.
Yeah, I'm kind of like that. My wife keeps telling me, if I do an interview or something, on television, and then it's telecast later on, I never watch it. I don't like to watch it. I mean, I would try to avoid it. I try my best to avoid it, so I don't watch it. Then I'm thinking, okay, I said that, I shouldn't have said that. I'm looking like that, I shouldn't have looked like that. I don't want to go there.
Okay. Favorite holiday destination, or one destination that you haven't been that you'd love to go to?
I haven't been on holiday to Russia,
Ah,
which is somewhere I want to go on a holiday. See,
you've played.
I distinct. No, I haven't played in Russia either. But I distinguish between holiday destinations and concert destinations.
Sure, sure.
I like to go on a holiday. If I go on a holiday, I don't do concerts. So
So that's what I'm saying. Holiday, not
I want to
concert
go to
destination.
Russia on a holiday. I want to discover the traditions. I like old places. I want to go to old places, search out the history, see what's been going on here, what is their
Right.
culture, and then I feel certain things, and I want to keep feeling those things. And it could be little spiritual nuggets come to me and some realizations. So it's like an alternative world. I like to go into that space and not think of who I am. I'm a tabla player, a classical tabla, rhythmscape, Mayookh. I don't want to think of that. I just want to go and be a floating soul, just a soul
Right.
floating in Russia, that kind of thing.
Yeah, holiday, absolutely, absolutely. Well, Bikramda, I think we are out of time once again,
Yeah.
and no, we literally have like 5 more minutes left till this session also ends
All
from
right.
Instagram. Okay,
Cool.
so I'm going to leave it at that, and I cannot thank you enough for doing this with me, spending this much time, and giving us such amazing insight and such amazing.
And I'll make it official. This is the interview I've enjoyed most
Oh,
doing.
thank you, thank you.
It's
Well,
not just
yeah.
because it's you. It's not just because it's you. It's also because of the questions you asked me. And I search for opportunities to tell the truth as it is. And most of the time, people ask questions, and you see from their face that they don't want the truth.
I want nothing but the truth, the whole truth, and
Yeah,
nothing but the
there you
truth.
go.
You know,
So there you go.
uh, no, I've been studying you for 24 years, so it's only fair, that I
Yeah.
have that insight. And like I said, I'm a wannabe Bikram Ghosh, and we
Oh.
used to have this term called Kishore Konti, right? I don't know what that
Shut
would be.
up.
The Tabla
Shut
version would be like Bikram Hathi or something. I don't know. I don't know
up.
how.
Shut up. Shut up. Rubbish.
No, seriously. But all the people on my Instagram feed and your feed have really enjoyed this. People have been really inspired. Their messaging, and I
How
will post
sweet.
this on my story, and we will share the link to Facebook for those of you who missed it on Instagram.
Super.
Maestro Bikram Ghosh, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, Manisha. Stang pranam.
Thank you, Mayookh. Thank you. Love you. And love to all of you. And enjoy life even in the lockdown, even
Absolutely.
during COVID-19. It's possible.
Yeah.
God
You
bless.
made this thing amazing for us. Thank you, Bikram. Thank you.
Thank
Well,
you. Bye. Bye bye.
all right, people. So you are all here. I want to, before I end the session, I just wanted to announce that the next session is going to be on the 11th of June, which is Thursday, with an amazing dancer, artist, visionary, a very young budding artist. Her name is Saberi Mishra. She's also one of the people who have inspired me to actually start doing a session like this, because she had this thing called Cut the Crap, which I was part of. And so now it's my turn to invite her into this. So that will be on Thursday, 7 p.m. Indian Standard Time, 2:30 p.m. UK time. And we will unlock the Jam Room with Saberi. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I have, and this will be posted to the story for those of you who missed it. And thank you for your comments and your participation. And stay well and keep washing your hands and stay positive. Okay, I will bring as many episodes as I can, and I will continue to do this for you. Thank you.